This is Miss Humbert here. Today we're going to be doing Unit 1 Notes 4. So we're talking about graphing lines in any form. So to start off with, before we start graphing lines in any form, we are going to start with simply just learning a new form of equation. So that new form of equation is going to be standard form. So for standard form, what you're going to do is you are going to have ax plus by is equal to c. Now a lot of students confuse standard form with slope-intercept form because they're both quote-unquote standard. Okay, so what you're going to do is you need to make sure you separate those out because we use slope-intercept to graph so much. But standard form is actually used more to model situations when you are given two variables. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at what that's going to look like. So the first thing I want to do is just practice writing equations into standard form. So what I want to do is get my x's and y's on one side, and I usually like to bring the x's and y's over to the left. So since I have a negative 5x here, I'm going to add 5x to both sides. And since I have a positive 2y, I need to subtract 2y from both sides. Now you can only add x with x and y with y. So 6x plus 5x is going to give me 11x. Negative 2y minus 2y is going to give me a negative 4y. When you add two negative numbers, it gets more negative. And then you get plus 4, and that's going to be equal to 9. So now what I want to do is I want to get that 4 over to the other side. So since it's positive, I'm going to go ahead and subtract 4 from both sides. So I get 11x minus 4y is equal to 9 minus 4, which is 5. So this right here is my final answer for number 1. Now let's take a look at number 2. So before you can simplify number 2, you're going to need to distribute. So I'm going to take that 2 and distribute it in. So I have negative 6x minus 5y minus 7, that all stays the same, is equal to x plus 2 times 3, which is 6x, 2 times a negative 7, which is a negative 14. So now what I want to do first is I'm going to just combine these two like terms on this side. So I get 6x minus 5y minus 7 is equal to, hopefully my computer can catch up with me here, magic I just made. Okay, so let's continue this now. So I have negative 6x minus 5y minus 7. Now I'm going to combine the 8 and the minus 14, so I end up getting 6x minus 6. Now I'm going to subtract this 6x over to the other side since it is positive. Well, 6x minus 6x is going to give me a negative 12x minus 5y minus 7 is equal to a negative 6. So now I need to take that minus 7 and I'm going to add it over to the other side. So I get negative 12x minus 5y is equal to negative 6 plus 7, which is going to be a positive 1. So that's your final answer for number 2. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at number 3. So first thing I need to do on number 3, whenever you are given 2 points, you want to calculate out the slope. So I have x1, y1, x2, y2. So the slope formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So 1 minus a negative 3 is a negative 2. 2 minus 1 is going to be 1. Well, negative 2 divided by 1 is going to be a negative 2. Well, now I have a slope and points. So what I need to do next is put it in point-slope form, and that's going to look like this. That's where we set up our puzzle. In here, I'm going to put my slope, which is negative 2. In here, opposite of my x-coordinate, and here, opposite of my y-coordinate. Now, it doesn't matter which of those points you pick. So I'm just going to pick the first one. So I'm going to do opposite of my x-coordinate and opposite of my y-coordinate. Now, in order to get this into standard form, I need to start by distributing. So I get y minus 3 is equal to negative 2 times x, which is negative 2x, and negative 2 times negative 1, which is a positive 2. So now I'm subtracting off that 3. So I'm going to go ahead and add 3 to both sides. So then I get that y is equal to negative 2x, and 2 plus 3 is going to give you 5. So then I get y is equal to a negative 2x plus 5, and that is my slope-intercept form. So now I want to put it into standard form. So in order to put it into standard form, I need to add 2x to both sides. Okay, so then I get 2x plus y is equal to 5. So there's the standard form. So as you can see, point-slope form can be converted into either slope-intercept or standard, and the answer for this one was actually looking for standard form. So we're going to do the same thing with number 4. The first thing I'm going to do is calculate out my slope. So I'm going to do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now remember, when you subtract a negative, that it's going to become plus a positive. So here I get negative 8 divided by 4, and that's going to give me a negative 2. Again, I'm going to take that and I am going to plug it into point slope form. I put my slope here, and I'm going to pick that point, and you can use the other one if you want. It will work out the same. So the opposite of the x coordinate is going to be plus 4, and then opposite of the y coordinate. So the first thing I'm going to do is distribute. So negative 2 times x is negative 2x, and negative 2 times 4 is negative 8. Then I'm going to go ahead and add this 3 over to the other side, and then I get y is equal to negative 2x minus 5. Now remember that it's asking for standard form. So in order for it to be in standard form, you need to add 2x to both sides. So then you end up getting 2x plus y is equal to a negative 5. So here would be your slope-intercept, and here is your standard form final answer for number 4. Now let's take a second to do number 5 and number 6. So you have to buy carrots and tomatoes for a salad. Tomatoes cost $2 per pound and carrots cost $1.25. So I'm going to let x represent my tomatoes and y represent my carrots. So for every x pound of tomatoes I buy, it's going to cost me $2. For every y pound of carrots, it's going to cost me $1.25. Now I have a total of $10 to spend, so I want to set that equal to the $10 that I have to buy tomatoes and carrots. And that's all we have to do for this one. We're just writing an expression or an equation for each of the situations. Now let's take a look at number 6. You are moving to a new house. You can carry 56 pounds at a time. One box of books, which I'm going to represent by X, is going to weigh 18 pounds, and one box of clothing, which I'm going to cause Y, is going to weigh 10 pounds. So we have 18 pounds for every X box and 10 pounds for every Y box. And all at once, you can only carry 56 pounds. So we want that to equal to 56. So that concludes the first part of this note video. So I read the Schoology assignment to see what ones you need to do next.